It's been very interesting in my life. During periods of times, I have I have relationship with places, and I had a very long relationship with Mexico and different areas of Mexico. And through these projects, I kept meeting other people and doing other things. So I think it started with the Tijuana project, which was fascinating. I mean, we stayed for we worked on it. I mean, the piece itself wasn't that long, I think 6 months, but we had to do residencies for a year and a half, which would mean that we would come and stay for a while and hang out and, get to know people and get to know the place. And so that was good. And I met Tobias there at the Insight, and of course Michael and Carmen and other people. And then after that, I don't know, Tobias ended up at the Tamayo and wanted to do he started this project called Intersticios that were supposed for artists to come and do interventions in like leftover spaces in the museum. Of course, me being me, I found the park was a leftover space from the museum. Walking around, I got to this sort of like clearing, and it had been raining a lot, and it formed a natural lake, like not a lake, a puddle. And I don't know why I said, well, wouldn't it be lovely to do, I wanted to do something because Mexico, it's such an absurd amount of everything. I wanted to do something, a sculpture that used all these elements in Mexico, the idea of quisaneras, this idea of stage, of theater. So from all these ideas came this thing that I wanted to do something extremely decadent, not in a bad way, but like, over the top thing, and had to do with imaginary and create this kind of magic place into the park that people could pretend or could forget, their lives for a minute and enjoy this sort of like fantasy, because it's kind of like a crazy, crazy project, to build a fake lake in the middle of the biggest park in Mexico City of 400 square meters. Agustin saw the project there, and he wanted to do something at the Botanical Garden, but more permanent. So then the project took another shape. It took a shape of a capricho, which is this architectural format that it's a building that has, follies have existed all over history, especially in big gardens. Marie Antoinette was a big fan. And I wanted to build a building that it doesn't have a reason to exist, but for the desire for it to exist. But meaning it has no function whatsoever besides the pleasure of having it exist. To me, it's been the longest process ever I had with a piece, because I think I was one of the first artists that started working at the Jardim Botânico, which I think it changed, and I helped it change, because I remember when I first got there, the engineer was still alive, and he had this sort of like rains of steel over the garden. The first version of my project was a disaster because he didn't think that it needed to be any engineers, no nothing. So he built he built a circle, nothing worked. So slowly, and with other people coming in, I think it was perceived that we needed not only a curator, but we also need architects to help do the plans we are tracing, that we had gone beyond, I don't know how to say it. We needed more advanced technological information that were at our disposal. He was amazing in terms of, he knew so much about the plants, it was his collection and everything, but he was, at that age, he was not very well versed in construction technology and other things. So I guess that's how Tatiana and Toa came into play, and I think, and when they came into play, my project really got some, some support, because then everything in it doesn't look complicated, but extremely complicated. Like just for the water not to move, it took so much work. People don't realize, like in terms of infinitive pool, and usually those are, things about the work that I do that when people look at them, it looks very simple. But to achieve that simplicity, there is a lot of stuff and work and complicated things that behind the simplicity to get to it.